guys, welcome to another recap of The Amazing Race. This was a really weird episode. Alright, so they're still racing from last week when they were in New Zealand, and Dave and Connor were the first ones to check in, and they find out that they're going to Bali. They're going to the monkey forest. Exciting. So Chuck and Winona were the last ones to check in the pit stop in New Zealand, even though it wasn't a true pit stop because they didn't get a mandatory rest period. But it's all good because they're still racing, I guess. In New Zealand, you don't get your airline ticket to the airport. You have to go to a travel agent. I find that really weird that some countries you can't get them at the airport, but I guess that's just up to the individual country. There's 3 different flights. The first one was arriving at 8:35. The other 2 were supposed to be arriving at 12:05, but in the layover in Singapore, 2 of the teams actually got an earlier flight at 10:35. So when they got to the monkey forest, it was pretty scary. You had to give the monkeys a coconut and have them open it up, and inside was like a little bullet with a paper in it that said what the detour was. The hockey player's taxi driver didn't know S. They kept asking him, do you know where you're going? And he's like, eh? He finally asked somebody for directions, but they kind of lost a lot of time because of that. So the detour was either Sandy Bottom or Fruity Top. Sandy Bottom, you had to go to this pond, I guess it was. I don't know, was it a river? And wear a basket on top of your head and like scoop up sand and put it on the basket that was on your head. And then carry it up to this bricklayer dude, and you had to do it probably about 2 times each to fill up enough sand, and it was pretty hard work, but it was pretty straightforward. The Fruity Top thing, however, you had to have a little artistry because you had to prepare a fruity religious offering. They had to approve it, then you had to process up to the priest, I guess it was, and he had to bless it. So everybody was doing pretty much the Fruity Top except for the roller derby moms. They thought, well, you know, we're pretty tough. We could do the sand thing. It was a lot of hard work, but they did it. A lot of people were having trouble with the fruity thing because some people's sticks were sticking out. It wasn't exactly fat enough at the top, especially Jessica and John. They built it and then they weren't approved, and then they decided they were going to start over again, and then they said, the hell with it, we're not doing this anymore, let's go do the sandy thing, which kind of worked out okay for them, kind of, because they completed it. So the next stop was the surf beach, and this seemed pretty simple. You only had to go find a surfboard with a picture of the priest who gave them the blessing. I think it was 2 legs back or 1 leg back, and the only problem was they didn't come right out and say that that's what they wanted. So you had to kind of imagine that that's what they said. They were like something that we've all encountered along the way. So there was a lot of different pictures on the things, but you know, they're not going to make it too easy for you. So you had to take that and go to the pit stop and show Phil with your partner, and if it was okay, you were checked in, and if it wasn't, you had to go back. So Dave and Connor got it right away. They came in first place, and they won $5,000 each. Not too shabby. Pam and Winnie came in second. Max and Katie came in third. Carolyn and Jennifer, they got the wrong board. They had to go back. They got the wrong board again. They had to go back. They finally got the right board, but they didn't even know why. So they came in 4th place. Then Joey and Megan in 5th. Mona and Beth had the wrong board, but Joey and Megan helped them out because they're in an alliance together, and they got it on the 2nd try, so they're in 6th place. Poor Chuck and Winona. He didn't know what the hell was going on. First he had the wrong board, but then he even took like a lot of time trying to find Phil again, because he was running all over the place, all over the beach, and he's just running around. So he lost a lot of time, and in the meantime, Bates and Anthony came in 7th, even though they lost a lot of time because there was an awful lot of stairs and it was very confusing. But they're not eliminated. They came in 7th, and Chuck and Winona ended up coming in 8th. Now, John and Jessica, I don't think they were the last team to get there, but he didn't know what he was looking for, and he finally found it after 1 hour and 15 minutes. He didn't use the express pass. If only they had used the express pass. This was the weirdest, one of the weirdest endings I've ever seen on The Amazing Race, though, because he was like, "Oh, I don't want to dwell on the past," and quite simply, I don't need the $1 million. All Phil had to say was, "Oy vey." Agreed, Phil. Agreed. All right, next time it's the old W turn. Are Dave and Connor going to be continuing in the race? Probably. I don't know. This is a pretty good season, I have to say. Pretty good season. So, till next week, kids. Much love.